So let me give you the steps of how I do it. So I actually train people even to do this. So I tell people, okay, go find me a single tenant building, which is a standalone, which is called also freestanding building that can accommodate like Jack in the Box, Starbucks, Subway, Fat Burger, Miami Grill, any of these companies that are standalone buildings. You'll find plenty of these buildings sitting vacant in any market in the US. Small town, big town, you'll find a single tenant building standalone empty. Vacant. When it's vacant, it has a lower value than when it's occupied with a tenant that's a national tenant that has signed a lease for 10 or 15 years and is going to pay rent for so many years. So obviously, if the value is usually $1 million, if a big tenant is in it, when it's sitting vacant, it can go for 500, 600,000, 700,000, actually whatever you can negotiate. So the way we do it is I tell my students, go find a single tenant building. I train them on the 15 criteria needed. And I'll give you some example. We want them in a busy traffic street. We want it to be a second generation, third generation food operator. That means another food tenant was there. So it's set up for food operation. We like it with a drive-through. We like good neighboring tenant. There is 15 criteria that we look for. And you don't have to have the 15 criteria in one building. You have to have as many as possible because that attracts the national tenants. So once they identify one in their own backyard, I tell them exactly what to tell the broker to take them seriously. Whoever listed the property, they can call and say, I'm working with Sharif Medawar with this fund called SFI fund, Secured Fixed Income Fund, and we are actually doing this, or MIXIF fund. I have two funds, MIXIF Medawar International Group Secured Income Fund, and I am working on behalf of the fund, and we're going to send you proof of funds that we have millions in cash, and we're willing to buy this property all cash. But our price is going to be, let's say, 600,000 all cash. We close in less than 60 days. Well, the listing broker want to sell. Maybe they listed at 750. They're going to say, all cash, you're going to close in less than 60 days. No need for appraisal or anything. We'll send you the contract. The listing broker is happy. They're going to make a bigger commission because they represent the listing seller and the buyer coming in. So we have that to our advantage. We put it under contract with the proof of fund. And now I give them a list of 4,500 plus national tenants who to contact, the phone number, the size of space they want, who they want to be next to. And they can actually start smiling and dialing and calling these tenants and saying, I have this location in Dallas, Texas, or I have this location in Fort Lauderdale or in San Jose, California. And this is the size and this is the traffic. And there is a specific things. I give them a script and we have it in writing. We have even a website with all the steps that they have to take. And they leave messages. They send a little email with a little video, etc. And all we need is one tenant to call back. Because when we put it under contract, when the student working with me, doing this joint venture with me, they put it under contract for 45 days for due diligence. There is no obligation to buy the building for 45 days. You're with me? Mm-hmm. And we have another 15 days to close all cash. So during the 45 days, they start smiling and dialing and leaving voicemail messages, sending emails. And once one tenant emails back and say, I'm interested to talking more about this with the bullet points of leasing it, I get on the call with my student who lined up the deal, and I negotiate what's called the letter of intent to lease. We get a national tenant that wants to sign for 10 to 15 years with escalation, 3% per year, with corporate guarantee. That means that lease is guaranteed by the entire corporation that's usually publicly traded, not just by mom and pop operation, one tenant. It's a tenant that has, like Subway is worth $3.8 billion. They have over 33,000 locations. We're working with them on a location in Fort Lauderdale. Their corporate guarantee is worth billions of dollars. And it's triple net, meaning the lease is signed and the tenant pays the lease net of taxes. They pay the property tax. Net of insurance. They pay the property insurance. Net of maintenance. They maintain the property. So how beautiful is this? Now, sometimes I negotiate with them. Okay, we're going to give you a couple months free rent. I'll give you 50,000 or 100,000 towards tenant allowance, tenant improvement, because the tenants got to come in. They may want to put new AC. They may want to put the new flooring or whatever. So I contribute that. But the property we got under contract at 600,000. When that tenant comes in now and is paying whatever, 60,000 a year, 70,000 a year in rent, the value of the property goes up to $1 million or $1.1 million. Why does it jump so high before we even close? Because we have a letter of intent from a tenant that says, I'm going to be paying you so much per month. I'm committed to 10 to 15 years. I'm going to pay escalations. I will pay the triple net fees. That means all other expenses. And I give you a corporate guarantee. And I'm publicly traded. You take that contract, you're going to buy the property at 600. And you take that letter of intent from the tenant and you go to the commercial loan division of any bank and you say, I want to buy this building. They say, okay, the underwriter will call Subway or will call Dunkin' Donuts or Popeyes or whoever it is, we're going to confirm, we're going to give you the loan. Now, I buy them all cash. So they assign it to my fund. And that $600,000 deal that now became $1 million or $1.1 million, that upside is $400,000 to $500,000. When we close, $600,000 all cash comes from my fund. The property becomes worth $1 million. So there is $400,000 increase in value. I pay the students, the joint venture partners, $40,000. That's like 10% of the upside. If it's going up to $1.1 million, I pay them 10% of that $500,000 increase. That's $50,000. If the tenant, we're able to get them to sign for 15 years, that $400,000 upside, I don't pay 10% only, I pay 25% because the value is there. We can flip them very quickly. So on the $400,000, I pay them $100,000. Can something go wrong? Let's talk about what can go wrong. My joint venture partner student puts it under contract, representing my fund. They got to put $5,000 of their own money as earnest money deposit. That's never at risk. It's refunded back to them within 45 days. Even when they assign to me, I give them back that $5,000. During the 45 days, if no tenant responded, for 44 days, they can get back the $5,000 refunded because they cancel the contract. There's no downside, there's a huge upside. So that program has been very, very successful. We have hundreds and hundreds of success stories on YouTube. Actually, total, I have over 2,000 videos on YouTube with success stories from investors, from partners, from students. I'm very proud of that. So that's the corporate gain. Sorry, it took me like 5 minutes to explain this, but it's just such an important strategy because it made me millions of dollars. I became very wealthy doing this in many parts of the country, but specifically in Old San Juan, Puerto Rico. I started realizing the cruise ships arrive. People get off the cruise ship. This is a U.S. territory, and they walk in front of the cruise ships. That is just the port area has all these buildings, historic buildings. They walk up and down the streets. I said, wait a minute, if I put these properties under contract and I call the big tenants, they're going to come in and lease. And they're going to give me corporate guarantees. They're going to be leased for 10, 15 years. I took buildings at $2-3 million, put the big tenants in at $20,000 a month. The buildings went up in value to $5-6 million. I was making millions of dollars, refinancing, cashing out, buying more buildings. I ended up becoming the largest historic commercial owner in Puerto Rico, which is practically in the US because this is the oldest historic zone in the US. And my fund was created in 2009 to help students who want to partner with me on these, help investors who want to invest in this. And we've just grown exponentially since.